Hey guys, welcome back for part 2 on cognitive dissonance. So in my last video, I talked simply about what is cognitive dissonance, what does it look like, and then I kind of derailed myself by talking a lot about my coming to the truth experience and how in reality that was a moment of synthesizing the truth in my own brain and kind of ripping apart those lies that I'd built up over years about the government, and how it was actually deeply emotional because for me to break those ties in my brain, it was not simply, oh, here's the truth, I know the truth now, that's that. No, it was saddening, it was heartbreaking in some ways, because I had to come to terms with the fact that 20 years of my life, I'd believed that my government had my best interests at heart and that it was protecting its own people. And in reality, it was actually probably the most dangerous aspect surrounding my life. Because yes, we had a great military. We do have a great military, so we're safe from enemies like China and Russia invading us. But besides that, our deepest, my deepest concern for safety is actually from basically our own deep state here in America. That means, things the CIA might do to us, or other top secret agencies that are basically part of a deep state cabal structure. So basically realizing that that existed and that was real, verifiably real, was deeply emotional and a little heartbreaking and troubling. And I say all this because you need to understand that what we're asking people on the left to do is literally change themselves and their perception of the world and of themselves drastically. So we cannot come across too unemotional and too unsympathetic. We have to have some sympathy and some ability to empathize with these people, because what we're asking them to do by listening to the truth and actually synthesizing the truth with how the world actually is a big price. It is a big ask, I should say. So now I want to give some examples, like I promised in the last video, of what cognitive dissonance looks like, especially what it commonly looks like right now on the left. And I want to do this just because you're going to see this in literally probably, I would say, 7 or even 8 out of 10 liberals you talk to. They're going to have these literal examples of cognitive dissonance in their own head. So in the last episode, I already gave the example that Trump is evil and all Trump voters are evil. Obviously, that cannot be true. It cannot be true. There's just too many people. And even if Trump was Hitler, some people that followed Hitler were not evil because they were living in Nazi Germany. They had been raised in the extreme poverty that the Great Depression that came after World War I brought to Germany. And so, they lived through that zeitgeist. They lived through those times. And so you cannot judge them for having voted someone that was basically, the only commonality between Hitler and Trump is that they both moved the needle economically in their country. But Hitler actually did way more in a short amount of time. And I say this a lot, I'm a history buff, so we're not going to talk about the history of Nazi Germany because that's a huge ball of wax, but it was amazing the things that they were able to do in a short amount of time. And it convinced a lot of people that were even naysayers of Hitler to join his cause. Okay, so anyways, this can't possibly actually be true. So to help people understand that can't be true, you could simply ask them, like, do you actually believe that all those people are evil? Okay, so that's just one example. And to help us get through this in a more productive manner, I'm going to share now my 5 tactics to combat cognitive dissonance that I also promised in the last video now, and then we're going to go into those examples and kind of pick them apart a little bit. All right, first one, force synthesis of uncompatible ideas. Okay, now that one could look like, here's an example, feminism is good for everyone, and at the same time they might believe Islam is good for everyone and Christianity is bad. Those ideas are all basically completely uncompatible, because Christianity actually created feminism. Basically, it was under only Christian countries where feminism was allowed to thrive, and that's because Christianity believed in equality, yada yada yada, basically. So on the East Coast, there was a movement. You should Google this if you want to hear more about it. It was really interesting. I actually heard about it on the radio through NPR, and it was hilarious to hear the people's little sound bites that they grabbed. But basically, this is it. On the East Coast, there was a bunch of, literally thousands of little leaflet papers posted all over random cities like Baltimore, Boston, Philadelphia, I think, and maybe some others. But basically, this is it. This is how the leaflets read. It simply said, Islam was right about feminism. Or no, I'm sorry. It was, Islam is right about women. That's what it was. And obviously, that's doing my number one tip here. My first tactic, try to force synthesis of these two incompatible ideas, because you don't have to do that much. Like, forcing it is simply putting these two things side by side and being like, hey, look at this. They don't seem to work out too well. What's going on there? So that's a perfect example of how to combat that particular one, is just be like, I think Islam is right about women. And then if you actually said that in a conversation, you'd probably get some serious backlash and be like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, they should be subjugated. They should be hidden away. They should be forced to wear burqas because they're too attractive. And, it might give someone, sexual desire, and that's a sin, whatever. That's a whole rabbit hole we're not going to go down. But nonetheless, that's tactic number one. All right, tactic number two. Force them to beg the question of reality. Do facts still matter? Obviously, it's a yes or bust. Okay? So here's an example where here's an example that this could be used on. So if someone says, Trump is literally a Nazi fascist. Factually, Trump has done nothing racist, homophobic, or totalitarian while in office. He's done none of that. He's done things that are nationalist. That's the NA of Nazi, nationalistic socialism. So that's where that comes from. But that's it. And nationalism is what makes a country a country. And it's typically what makes a country great. A country that protects itself, cares about itself, and basically reinvests in its own people. That's how America became great in the first place, by the way. And not like this, like pre-World War II, guys, we were not sending millions or billions, yes, billions with a B, which we are doing, to Africa and even South America to basically bail out these failed states. And granted, a lot of these failed states are failed states because of our own deep state, but let's not get sidetracked because I have a tendency to do that. So as you can see, this begs the question. So if someone says, well, like Trump is literally Nazi, you can just be literally like, well, factually, he's done nothing wrong in office. Like, he's not done nothing illegal. He's done nothing that is racist, sexist, homophobic. He's done none of that. He's said some things that are sexist. That's a fact. No one can protect him on that. No one. But besides saying them, has he passed any laws? No. No, he has not. Factually, he's done nothing wrong, totalitarian, anyway. So basically just ask that question. Be like, what did he do wrong? Like, what are you talking about? Because factually, I know he hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't done this, this, this. So you can kind of force them to have that debate in their head, to have that debate with you. Okay? All right, so next tactic, number 3. Ask where they got their info, then ask if they feel the information is accurate. Okay, so I just read an article in preparation for this video that stated literally 75% of Americans believe that the mainstream media is inaccurate. About 75%. That's an all-time high, probably in the country's history. Okay, so giving them a stat like that, you could ask them. So with a tactic like this, what you can do is basically ask them, like, so where do you get your information? Like, do you read it on, like, Facebook, Twitter? Like, where do you get it? And then whatever they say, if they're a millennial, chances are they get 90% of it from social media. You can say, did you know that most social media sites are actually combating fake news because of how many news articles from like CNN and MSNBC have been shared and then get redacted? And that's like a real problem. And obviously they're saying they're doing it because of fake news being on the right, but in reality, like overtly, we can prove that most fake news is actually on the left from those two particular brands, as well as like ABC, PBS News, BuzzFeed, you name it. Like a lot of these things have factual inaccuracies that are fake news, and they need to be combated. So if you're getting most of your information from basically shares on social media, those things have not been like cross-referenced. They haven't been proven. Your friends have not done their research if they're just sharing something on social media. And I share stuff on my social media. I've got a Twitter page if you guys haven't followed me. And most of those things I know are true because of how easy it is to prove they're true. Such as it's footage of something really happening, something like that. But there's so many articles that are just so inaccurate, and I'm gonna make a whole other video actually on this one particular article written in January this year that I never heard anything about, but it is a bombshell of information about what real fake news is in this country. So I'm probably even gonna do a live stream. I think that'd be most productive to do a live stream where I talk about fake news. Because that way I won't get taken down or shadow banned probably. Hopefully people will see that. We'll see. So stay tuned, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe and do the notification bell because I'm really ramping up right now. Yeah. All right. Number 4, guys. Number 4. Keep asking why. Keep asking why to get people to admit they don't know. That's so great. That one I think is really profound. I don't know if you guys know any pathological liars. I've met quite a few in my day, probably about 6 or 7, and they are the absolute most degenerate people I've ever met, and I can't stand them. Literally, I defriend everyone that I find out to be a pathological liar. Not only do I usually call them out in their face to make sure that I know they're pathological liars, because it's so easy to verify they are, because what they do is they'll lie and lie about their lies because they need to cover them up. But as soon as you're 2 layers down, it's like Inception. It's like so easy to like force them to be like they start freaking out, they get red in the face, just like anyone else. But like at their like first level lies, they're so accustomed to lying that they're like stone cold, like really good at it. Second layer, they start getting a little flustered. But if you force them to try to go to a 3rd layer of lies about lies, oh man, none of them hold up. Most of these people aren't even that intelligent, so like usually they're already red in the face. So anyways, keep asking why is an easy one. Let's go ahead and see if I have any examples here that are oh, here's one. So people on the left often hold this idea that is full of cognitive dissonance, right? Okay, so a lot of them now believe that if we do not legislate climate change to fight global warming, we will all die in about 10 years or 12 years, as AOC says. In reality, guys, since 1900 is the stat. 1900, 119 years ago, the average global temperature has fluctuated. Guess how much? Guess how much? Try 1% Celsius. 1% Celsius. That's about 1.6 Fahrenheit. Tops. And again, that's fluctuations. It's kind of like, it's anyway. So if you keep asking like, well, why do you think that? Why do you think we're all gonna die? Is it because of what AOC said? Because she has no facts on her side. So like, why? Keep asking why, guys. This can be effective in helping these people realize that they don't know shit. All right. Now, that is number 4. Number 5 tactic for combating cognitive dissonance. Get them to acknowledge that they simply might not know the whole picture. And obviously, you can use multiple tactics overlaying each other to get there. But basically, in a conversation, if you know a simple statistic, even one statistic more than your opponent, and you can simply say like, well, did you not know that? Okay, well, it might be beneficial for you to do more research, because what I think is that you have bought in to a social narrative that is popular right now, but it's not actually based on facts. In other words, I think you should maybe just do some more research, because it's really important to know what you're talking about today, because there's a lot of people that are bandwagoners, and they're just, their friends on social media are saying X, so they say X. They believe X. But Y was always true. Y was always the reality. And a certain number of scientists and yada, yada, yada were always saying this. So, history eventually always proves out to be true. The true history, history can be lied about, obviously. Obviously, most people still don't know the truth about 9/11. I already talked about that, so I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole in this video. But basically, guys, we need to find ways to have civil conversations to help people combat their cognitive dissonance. We cannot keep going at this half-cocked, in the sense that if you're going to take the time to go out to protest or protest to protest, whatever, and witness these liberals being moronic and touting their absolutely false communist ideologies, if you want to combat that, you have to know what you're talking about, and you have to be able to find ways to prove that they don't know what they're talking about, or that they're full of cognitive dissonance, where they actually do know the truth, but they're touting other ideas based on their emotions. So, yeah, guys, that's basically what I have. That's a wrap for this video, basically. Let me know if you guys have any good examples of you having been able to successfully do this. It is not easy, and it's something I feel like I've only been able to do once or twice in a conversation. And I say this openly because it is very difficult, for one. For two, it can get uncomfortable. And I realize that. I've had many conversations with liberals that just, they get uncomfortable, and they start feeling like you're attacking them. And it's like, no, I'm just attacking false ideas. And if you happen to have a few of them, then that just, it might feel like I'm attacking you, but no, it's just the ideas that you have, and you have those ideas because of other people. They're not your own. They're rarely their own ideas. Okay, guys? So be friendly, stay civil as long as we possibly can, and let's try to bring America together. Let's try to help people see the light, have that come to the truth moment. And in closing, if you guys have had any experiences where you had to basically break down crying because you realized how wrong you were about something, such as the notion that the government has your best interests at heart, and in reality it does not. It might be the most dangerous aspect of your happiness, keeping you from living a long, fruitful life, because, hey, maybe they're poisoning the water. Hey, maybe they're putting shit in vaccines that is ruining your brain and how it works. And in closing, you should know that if you want to have new friendships and talk to people like myself that have similar ideas, I am now officially, I am building my own community of simply people that like to talk. This is not some giant pay to watch videos platform. This is literally a private Discord server. And if you become a patron for literally just $1 a month or $1 per creation, you can have access to that. And every Thursday night, I will be in there, and I am looking to have great civil conversations with people like yourself that are eager for the truth. Maybe they want to talk about certain things, or talk about how to band together to make a change in our society. So that's what it's all about, and you can get access to it for literally just $1 a month for supporting me, and I think it's very worth it. And if I get enough people in there, I will definitely be in that server more than just every Thursday. And anyways, I'm still just building it now, so please, guys, if you like this kind of content, please support me and yourself and this country. Literally having meaningful conversation with others to build communities and organizations that can bring change is really the way that you save your country. So please, guys, don't just say you want to do things. Don't just watch videos. Make a change. Commit at least $120 over the next election year to people like myself that you support and that are speaking the truth about media lies and deceit from the deep state, yada, yada, yada. Please commit at least $120 to people that are telling the damn truth, because Fox isn't. As good as they are on certain things, they're still a tool of the Republican Party, who is very, very pro-war. Other than that, they will expose things on the left that are open lies, but that's not good enough, guys. It's not good enough. So, please support me, guys. Thanks for watching.